microphone. Don't be afraid to ask, she's not going to put you in a band track.
We'll see about that.
Hi.
Depends on if I don't like your question.
How does it feel to have starred in one of the best remakes ever? Talking about Blob.
Woo!
Pretty
amazing.
What can you tell us about like being in that movie?
You know, some things don't age well, but that gets better with time. But the coolest thing was my daughter. I remember the day she told me that Meg Penny was one of her favorite characters.
That's cool.
She's like, she's just so, like, she's independent, but she has like, she's so good to her brother, and the parents aren't idiots, you know, and like, she's got this great relationship with Brian Flagg, like they really are kind of equal, and they help each other, and she's just like, Mom, she's a great
It's like you have a smart kid.
heroine, you know? I was like, whoa, she's like, yeah, she's one of my favorite female characters, and I just hadn't like looked at it that way. But yeah, thanks for asking.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Thank you recognize me from earlier.
I sure do.
My question is for you. That bear trap that you wear, it looks, how did it feel on you? Because I don't know, it looks, it's so cool, but it looks so, I was just curious how it felt when you wore it for the first time.
It was really heavy, you know, it was like metal. And this happens in movies all the time. You can't think everything through. So again, they put it on me. I start thrashing my head around. But it wasn't like secured anyway, so like my head's moving inside. It's like, you know, but you kind of lose the reality of like the thing's gonna go like that. So we had a very fancy solution for that in our low budget film.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think there were two functional ones made. The one they put on you wasn't like made of a lighter material, just for close-up shots to make it more comfortable?
When we did a flashback in 6,
Right.
they had a slightly more evolved, lighter jaw drop. Because the guy who made the first one was like, screw you, I'm keeping this. So they had to make another one. But we took a tongue depressor. Like when you go to the doctor, you know, and they hold your tongue down.
Oh, you like the stick?
It's like balsam wood or something, it's kind of thick.
Oh, I hated that.
Yeah, so they glued that to the inside of like, you know, where the thing was, and then I just held it with my teeth. Good thing I have like jaws of steel. So yeah.
Well, your jaw didn't rip open, so I guess that's pretty good, right?
Huh?
I guess your jaw didn't rip open, so that's pretty good, right?
Yeah, definitely. Hi.
Hello, hi. Have you heard of Saw the musical?
I have. Are you in it?
I am not. I just saw it a few weeks ago and just went.
How was it? It's in New York.
Yeah, they were in Baltimore a few weeks ago when I saw it. It was very funny. Yeah, they haven't had it in it. She sings a whole song. It's pretty great.
What's it like?
She sings a song about like living the life she wants to live after surviving. So.
Can you sing it for me?
Live the life you like.
It's so funny because when you walked up to the mic, I was like, we're gonna sing together. I'm not kidding. I was like, stop it.
But have you seen it?
No. I want to.
It should be.
Yeah, now I remember. I think Mark Berg was coming to town. I was like, we should go see the Saw musical. Like, imagine just showing up there.
Yeah, I'm sure they would really enjoy that.
So it's good? It's like
Yeah,
thing?
I had a great time. It was total laughter the whole way. They turned the story into kind of a gay romance, so yeah.
Cool.
Great time. Yeah.
Who's the romance between?
Lawrence and Adam.
Okay. All right. All right, well, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Live the life. How's it go?
Live the
and then give us
Live the life you like. So,
oh, so slow. We're gonna live the life you like. Is that right?
I think so.
You guys wanna do it? Not really. Alright. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy anniversary.
Are you surprised it's still holding up and as popular as it is after all this time? The Saw just seemed to be lightning in a bottle. Like, we were discussing this earlier, like after seeing how Terrifier blew up. The last time I saw anything blow up like that, the first 7 Saw films, just one after the other after the other.
Yeah. I think 10 was pretty extraordinary. Like after all of those, to have a script like that. It was really organic. It came out like the writers really loved the series and they loved Amanda. They loved the relationship with John and Amanda, and it was pretty cool to go back between 1 and 2. Like, you never get to do that with a character. So now I had like 3 generations of Amanda fans in me that I took back to her. It was wild. I had like, jewelry, little talisman from fans that I got in my dresses, and I had like letters and things from you guys over the years, and it was like we were all back to her. That was really cool, and the script was good, and I think that's what's so hard about 11 is to live up to that, to like, you can't just kind of,
Anything you can tell us about it, or?
I can just tell you, like, they're working on something that's worthy of you guys, and that can, at least hold up to 10, which is, not easy, but worth the time, I'd say, for sure, right? You guys don't want to see some
So,
after that.
we haven't seen the last of you, is what you're saying?
I really hope not, because there's some really interesting stuff to explore, I think, after that. Like, I would love to see Cecilia some more. I'd love to see, like, Hoffman and Amanda, and that before we just started, like, bickering at each other in 6.
That was definitely some of the fun between 3 and 4. Going back to 10, how did you find out the band was getting back together? And were you like hesitant to revisit it, or?
Well, I don't know. It's funny because right before they made Spiral, I was getting word that there was a script floating around. I remember Darren Bowser, when I saw him at a convention, he's like, man, because there's a script for like John and Amanda are kicking ass through Europe. I was like, oh, that's not bitchin'. And they moved, originally it was in Europe, and they moved it to Mexico City. But then I got word, like, let things go, and then Chris Rock was like, I want to do a Saw. And everyone was like, hell yeah. So they did that, and then all these years later, they came back around. Toby and I looked at each other, we're like, good thing we kind of kept it together enough, because we'd be playing ourselves 18 years ago. So, but you guys were very, like, I don't think it bothered you, because the story was good and the character and the relationship, So go team, go. I hope we get to have fun with another one.
When you play Amanda, I mean, there's definitely layers to her. She can go from being absolutely unhinged to a caretaker. Like, where does that all come from? Like, do you have experience with like caretaking for the elderly or things like that you can bring to the character? No, seriously, real life experience. I'm wondering like, how much of it, aside from being unhinged, because you're like the nicest person ever. So I don't know where that comes from.
I think, the nice people have those layers underneath that, it's like when I had a punk metal band called Fight All the Ho. And I'm always so nice, you gotta have your battle cry. But Amanda really developed over the first 3, like the first one was just like the drug addict part. two evolved, but in a weird way. Like, I was pregnant and I didn't want anyone to know, so just except our costumer. Because I'm like, I don't know what my body's gonna do, so we're like, pajamas. Then we come up with these pajamas and we're like, wow, this is gonna look like hospital. And I'm like, whoa, what if I put like gauze around my wrists, like, who knows what I just came from. Now I have like an idea for 11 that would like tell more of that story. But so then I had these pajamas, hospital, and I'm like, make my hair short and like crazy. Like part of the training was to like get rid of the sexuality. And then 3 came, and I just read this book. I don't even know how I found it. It was called A Bright Red Scream. And there were these collection of stories of mostly young women who dealt with self-harm. It was like, drugs, self-harm. They were all really brilliant. Like it was they had a lot of things in common. And I was like, well, that's Amanda. People weren't really talking about cutting and this type of thing back then. And so Darren and I fought for that cutting scene. We had to really fight for it, so I didn't want to put it in there. But so she just kind of developed like that, and her tragedy is that in the end she couldn't trust John, which is sad. Like she just caved, He was the only person really first one in her life to really love her and see her, but she was tormented by trusting him.
You just brought up something I never thought of with that. I didn't realize it was a trust issue with John. I thought it was just anger at the world. I mean, Amanda just seems to be a very tormented character.
But she's tormented by a very perverted love life. Like, it was just perverted in the sense like inside out, just like turned on itself. It was just this it was always this ugly, scary thing that was like the opposite of what it was supposed to be. So you got that like juxtaposition, and so but like all the people in her life that loved her, it was not love, it was like abuse. So when John actually comes across John, he actually loves her and cares about her and believes in her. It's like her whole thing is just fighting that, like she wants to believe it, but then something will happen and she's like, I knew it was all a fucking lie. So the end is so tragic. And Tobe and I felt well matched because we just go for the humanity, So you asked about caretaking, that was all Tobe, and our rehearsal was what would she do? What was their daily life like? Like coming in with groceries at the beginning of Saw 3. And she'd make them tea, and we just did these very human, simple, regular things in the midst of this serial killing. So yeah, that end was tragic for her.
To expand on that, and I'm a little rusty, it's been a while since I've seen the sequels. Did Hoffman put in the letter that you were there the night Jill was attacked at the clinic and lost the baby? Was that something, and maybe somebody else can help me, did John know that? Or was that something that was just not touched on in the sequels? Like it was just a secret you were hiding from him all that time.
Yeah, they never, unless I'm wrong, they never dealt with whether he knew or not. So that was like, that sent her over the edge because like, he loved her, but if he knew this, he wouldn't love her, you know, it would all go away. So that's what she was really battling with. But I tend to think that he knew a while ago, and I'd kind of like to see that sometime, you know, if we get to do more. I'd like to see that because if only she knew that he knew and he still loved her, you know. Which is kind of like also the ultimate test for John, like that would be his test to forgive. To forgive her, you know. Want what?
I want to see you put John in a real song.
Put John in one?
Ooh.
And see like what it's supposed to be.
Interesting.
Because like you have trouble trusting him, but does he trust you?
So you think he would like allow himself to be part of a trap? Like she does it too?
I feel like you would have to be very manipulated to where he didn't realize it. Like you have to outsmart him.
Would you want to see John outsmarted though?
By you, yes.
Interesting. All right. It would be fun to have we've never done that before, but to have like a real female gaze. We could do that with Blob. It'd be interesting.
I think we got some. This is going to turn into a brainstorming session. I think we got something.
I know. So I'll let everybody, everyone in the room in Pennsylvania, Monster Mania. Someone asked me a really interesting question today. They said, if Amanda lived, what would she say to her apprentice? You know, if she took over for John and then she had an apprentice, what would she say? I guess, you know, as, like, how would she be with, imagine her, but like, what do you got, any ideas? What do you think she would say to her apprentice? Had she lived, which means she would have trusted him at the end of grade.
Was there any talk after Part 8 came out about possibly tying, what was his name, Logan? The killer, the gentleman in Part 8 who became the killer? The one John trained before Amanda? Was there any talk of like bringing all of you guys
So many
together?
apprentices.
Was there any talk about trying to work all of you guys together somehow?
I don't know. I wasn't a part of it, if there was.
I don't know to the full extent of it, but in the second film, when you went into the needle pit,
Oh my.
I don't like needles to begin with, so I was squirming a little. How did you react? I thought I read something. Did some of them get you?
No.
They don't like fix.
So the process of that is they took like real syringes, and one by one they took the real needle off and they replaced it with a monofilament. But they needed like 300,000 more needles than they expected to need for that pit. So they hired like college students from all over to just round the clock, you know. And right before they put me in there, the prop guy comes to me, he's like, we missed one. It was a joke. But yeah, the plastic part was real. So I was pretty bruised up. And they, at the very last minute, they put this like, I don't know what it was, but it was like not slimy, but it made them slick, so they would like move more from my body when I got in there. And I was really intimidated by that scene before, like, getting past that scene was like, woo, now I can relax. And that's it, once I got in there, and I'm like, just look for that key, you know, it's easy to act.
Okay, and I did have one more question.
Yeah.
So, how do you think the franchise would win if Jigsaw's son Gideon was actually okay and born? Do you think he would have stopped or kept going?
If who would have stopped?
Like John. Like instead of Jill having,
Yeah. If he would have
it didn't happen and
killed people?
Like if their son was born, do you think John would have stopped?
Yeah.
What he did?
I think so. Don't you? I mean, do you? I don't know.
I mean, look at Dexter. Dexter was watching kids and he was out doing it.
That's true, that was a great show. Interesting.
And the needle pit was all you, right? No stunt women, like, so that's you pregnant, riding in the needle pit.
Yeah. I didn't fall from the top, that was
Right.
a stunt person. I wasn't gonna do anything to, you know, hurt my baby, who's now 18. But, yeah, I'm like, I wonder what that did to you on the, you know, sometimes it's a little dramatic. I was like, fair enough.
Has your daughter watched any of the Saw movies? And what
Yes.
does she think?
She loves Amanda. It's funny because she was really young when we did, you know, like, well, yeah, 1, 2, and 3. So 3, you know, she would like come to the production office or whatever, and I'd make her keep her eyes down to the ground, you know, look at the floor. And then there started to be movie posters, you know, in the movie theater. And my son, who was in the needle pit now, he was like a kid, you know, young. We went to the movies and I saw this huge poster and I was like, eyes down, you know. And his friend's like, oh, well, that's a cool picture. My son's like, yeah, that's my mom. I'm like, stop trying to keep them from. So for a long time, they didn't get to watch the films. I showed, but the first scary movie I showed my daughter was The Blob, because I'm like, oh, it's kind of cheeky, you know, scared the shit out of her. She's like, it could be anywhere. I was like, oh, yeah, didn't think about that. Terrified her.
And then, what is your favorite Saw trap?
Jaw trap.
Yeah.
Hands down, because that's the iconic image. It set it off, you know? What about you?
Oh. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's the one where the guy's in the thing and all of his limbs are being turned.
Boom, boom.
The rack.
The rat.
Yeah, the rack.
Dude, I was there when he was filming that, and I was like, that guy needs an award. He was so good.
I
Yeah.
also like the one that rips the chest open.
Yeah, the angel.
Yeah.
My fallen angel. She did it to herself.
Thank you.
Your favorite trap was the jaw trap. What's the one that gave you the ick, or that you thought maybe we went a little too far with this one?
Well, definitely like when the ground up pigs were falling on the judge.
All right, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Which Saw movie was your favorite?
Well, if I could only pick one overall, I would have to say the first one, because it really set the whole thing off. As far as like making it, probably 3. Because, you know, I got to do a really cool fight scene with Donnie Moore, and that was cool. What about you? Did you have a favorite? Have you watched them?
I just watched the third one day, but probably the second one.
Oh, the second one was pretty cool.